Who remembers the mid-2000s? It was the time of the quad. More than 50% of motorcycle sales were quads, and every manufacturer jumped on the bandwagon. Then the 2009 recession happened and the world economy just sort of disappeared. Quads along with it. It's been years since we've even heard the word quad, and we're wondering if they're still around, especially as many factories no longer make them. What we did find is something special, and you could say it's the king of the quads. In fact, it's the King Quad, the Suzuki 750 King Quad. For this, we had to dust off all our quad cobwebs and remember how to ride one.
What does make me laugh is potentially tragedy. What does make me laugh, have you ever seen anybody who's only ridden motorbikes, two-wheel kind, gets on a quad and ride it for the first time? Because here's the thing, you don't steer a quad the same way you steer a motorbike. A motorbike, you just kind of lean. You know, you don't think about doing it. Most people don't think about doing it. You lean. And it's all counter steering. So on a motorcycle going, if you turn that way, the bike's going to tilt that way. And when you lean, you kind of naturally counter steer. But then you get people that get on one of these, and what this is essentially a handlebars in place of where a steering wheel could go. So you drive it like a steering wheel, but because there's a set of handlebars, you get these people just kind of trying to do this, and they're trying to sort of lean the bike, and you watch them panic, and they go right into the tree they're trying to avoid, and they're trying to figure out, what just happened?
After only a few collisions with local flora, I soon got the hang of it. That and pushing instead of twisting.
Now on a quad, you have a thumb throttle, so it's not technically a throttle, it's a thumb push thing. And the reason for that is that when people panic, what they do is they tend to tense up and squeeze their hands tighter, hold on for dear life. Which is a good idea, when you're in a plane or on a roller coaster or anything like that. But if, for example, you have a twist grip throttle, the last thing you want to do is squeeze tighter. In fact, you want to let go.
Which leads us on to the biggest advantage of owning a quad. And it's an obvious one.
Now, obviously, there is a big thing that makes this quad very different to a motorbike. And that is this. If I get off it without putting any stands out, watch this. You notice the way you're not going, I'm not holding on, you're not going horizontal. You, the viewer sitting on my handlebars right now, you're not falling over. And that's kind of a big deal for many people who for some strange reason don't like falling over. I don't know why. What's wrong with falling over? Perfectly right, I've been doing it my whole life, and look how well I turned out.
And now we turn our attention back to the King Quad. A large monster of a machine built, as it says in bold letters, in the USA.
There we go. Yeah, that's right, built in America. And if you want to know how built in America this thing is, this little digital speedo right here in front of me is in miles an hour. Because as far as I can tell, Americans don't do kilometer, don't do metric, it's too communist or something.
It is what is known as an agricultural quad. So unlike the racing quads that were so popular 20 years ago, this one can carry goods on its big racks and can easily mount a tow bar to tow pretty much anything. It also has a button that engages 4x4, a diff lock and a low range gear, as we shall now demonstrate.
This bike has a very easy to use 2-speed CVT gearbox, so it's automatic. So there's no clutch, no nothing. You push the thumb thing and instantly movement happens, and the two levers on the bars are brakes. One doubles up as a handbrake at the same time. But now we're up a particularly tricky hill. It's a bit steep. It's all over the place. It's extremely slippery. I know I've been up here on two wheels before. It's damn scary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in low range. There we go. I'm going to put the four-wheel drive diff lock on. You push that button in, and then you sort of cover it with that button, and there we go, 4-wheel drive diff lock on. Alright, let's see. Low range. There we go. It just purrs its way up. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is rocky. I know how slippery this is. There's so many loose rocks, loose gravel and everything over these things. But, hey, I'm at the top. That was a doddle. I'm kind of slightly disappointed. Here I am thinking of doing something manly and brave.
That was too easy, which makes me wonder if all of it is really necessary.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm doing exactly the same hill again, but I'm not putting the diff lock on, anything like that. No 4-wheel drive, diff lock, anything, and high range. And let's see if I die. Alright, here we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, a little bit more throttle and... It's easy. It's really easy. No fancy anything. So what is the low range for then? What is the diff lock for? I can only imagine it's if you want to, for example, ride up a sheer cliff, towing an ocean liner.
The motor chugging it so effortlessly is a 722cc liquid-cooled single cylinder that's fed by fuel injection and connected to a CVT gearbox, so no clutch. Just hit the button and go.
This motor's quite fast. It's really alive. I mean, as you sort of get on the throttle, this thing doesn't have a throttle, we'll get to that in a minute. As you get on the gas, you see American gas, it just automatically comes alive. You go along like this, sure. It's sort of electric. It's got a thump to it.
There are no official horsepower or torque claims from Suzuki, but it certainly feels like enough. Should you get it out on the open road, it will reach an electronically limited top speed of 69 miles an hour. A convenient number for the childish among us, but in real money, that's a more serious 111 kilometers per hour. That's plenty, especially when you're chugging through the rough outdoors.
Something about this bike is that when you're going along and you see these massive jumps and bumps and everything, and you're sort of thinking, oh no, it's going to tip over, it's going to capsize, or it's going to shoot off into the veld or off a cliff or anything like that. You know, there's just, especially me, because I have not ridden quads in really years and years and years, but you get this feeling just something's going to go tragically wrong. But then it just sort of just goes broom, broom, and it's over it, and it's done. It's sort of like a non-event. It's just so easy on this thing. This specific one, at least.
All this is assisted by the independent suspension, which us bike people might not understand, but apparently it's a good thing. And it weighs just 305 kilograms.
Interestingly enough, this is not the heaviest motorcycle we've had on the show. There have been some big cruisers and things that have topped that, amazingly. And they can fall over. So this appears to be a go anywhere motorcycle. Nothing so far that I've thrown at this thing makes any difference. It just seems to just go over it. Like, oh, alright, big jolly giant. Brum, brum, brum.
And with that, we get to the price. You might expect something this big to leave a giant hole in your wallet, but surprisingly, it's really not that bad. The King Quad will set you back 209,950 Rand.
That's really not a bad price. I mean, considering the kind of motorcycle world, for sheer volume, it's probably the best, volume of quantity of what you're getting. It's probably the best value for motorcycle in the motorcycle world.
20 years ago, when quads were everything, I enjoyed riding them, but I never actually considered buying one. Now, I'm glad I tried one out again. It offers a different perspective. I live out on a plot in the countryside, and it does seem like something that sits perfectly between a little motorbike runaround and a big 4x4 bucky.
And also, I mean, your wife can ride it, your kids can ride it, your grandmother can ride it. Anybody can ride this thing. It is so easy. It is so simple. You literally just sit on it, push with your thumb, go.
And should you feel like a laugh, take the Big King out into the rough stuff, where it'll conquer pretty much anything you can throw at it. I'm an avid fan of all types of motorized two-wheeldom, and will always be one. But, and I'm kind of ashamed to say this, I had a lot of fun on this thing. Perhaps it's time for quads like this one to make a bit of a comeback.